just going to do a little how-to video on how I tie my pompano jigs. Spearhead, it's nothing special. It's just one I had painted up that I painted it the other day. Got quite a different colors here. But anyways, I'm just going to show you how I tie my jigs up, so you'll have just a little idea of how I make my jigs. First things first, make sure your vise is in the place that you want it at, where it's going to be comfortable for you at. Make sure that you have good posture for as best as you can, because I don't know how long you're going to sit and wrap a jig. But with that being said, you want to have everything set up exactly how you want it, and I got my vise set exactly how I would like for it to sit. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with just a couple of wraps over. I'm going to come around, and my tag end, I'm going to take and lay over the top of that and wrap over my tag end. And then pull the tag end to the side. Once I've got it pulled to the side, I'm going to take and clip the tag end off. Now the line is secured to the jig. Alright, next I'm going to take and get my bundle of hair, which today I'm just going to use all white, and then I'm going to put a little bit of orange in it. So I'm going to get my bundle of hair, nylon hair that I'm going to use. Once I've got the bundle that I'm going to use, get all of the stragglers out of it and whatnot, so the hairs lay evenly down onto the jig, and whenever I go to spread them around the jig, they will spread easily. But this is the bundle that I'm going to be using here. This is about the size. Just white nylon hairs that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to go ahead and start laying them on there. I'm going to do my first wrap. I like to start with my hook facing upwards. That way I can go ahead and make sure that all my hairs that are laying in front of the hook lay evenly, and it doesn't look, spaced out. There's no spacing involved, because I don't want to have any spacing, me personally. Now don't be upset if you cannot get this first part right. It will take a little bit of practice. Some of you guys that tie flies may have a little bit easier and a little bit better advantage to doing this part here, but you're going to lay your hair on the collar part of the jig, and you're just going to do a couple of wraps. And I made I did about 5 wraps over it. Now the hair should stay. You see how it's sitting on there? Then I'm going to take my thumb, just the bottom part of my thumb, and I'm just going to take and press the hairs and just slowly work the hair around the collar of the jig. And just take your time with it, no rushing, because the hairs fall off, you're gonna have to take and reset and redo all this over again. Now some of you may have a different technique of doing this, and if you do, please put it down, comment down below and let me know how you do your jigs, or how you make your hair stay in place. That way you get a better wrap. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now as you can see, some of the hairs came out, which is fine, because that's why you put a fairly decent amount of bundle of hairs on there in the first place, so that way you're able to get all the way around the jig. Now some jigs you can, within practice you will get better, and your hairs will come out laying a lot evenly. It just takes practice, you just got it, like anything. The more you are consistent with it, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. So I definitely, if this is something you're going to get into, I would definitely encourage practice, practice, practice. Alright, now that I got everything laid out and everything, I'm going to just go ahead and evenly wrap all the way around, so there's no lumping, no nothing. I want this to be as smooth as possible, and I'm just going to work all the way up the jig, and I'm going to hit right to the collar of the jig here, and then I'm going to just come work my way right back down. And I'm just going to repeat that process. Alright guys, the next step I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to add in another color. So as of right now, you see it's just an all white skirt. Well, now I'm going to add a little bit of orange in there to, compensate with the head of the jig. And it adds a little extra character to it, I feel. It's just all in preference how you want to do and where you lay your hairs at on the jig at this point. Now, with me doing, another color on here, I'm going to take and personally set them, off sides from each other. So if I'm laying one directly on the side of the jig here, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I like for them to lay, evenly on the jig so it sits evenly on the jig. And I'm not going to use a lot of hair for this because I don't really want a whole bunch of orange, like craziness on it, but just enough to grab the attention of the fish. And, I'm going to take and use just a little bit of orange. This is the orange I'm going to use. It's actually bucktail is what I'm using to add in my color. So you can use bucktail. If you got another nylon hair, a color that you're going to use, you can do, nylon on top of nylon. It's easy. It's really not difficult at all. So I'm just going to take and get all my bucktail hairs as evenly as possible. That way I don't waste any of the product. Because I don't really like to waste materials. I like to, keep and save as much material as I can possibly. Guys, just the amount of hairs that I'd like on both sides. So it's going to be, the orange stripe on this side, and then on the other side it's another orange stripe as well. I'll get you a better view of it here in a minute. Right now I just wanted to show you guys where it sits and how it looks. And as you notice, I'm over here working the hairs around because I want to get all the way up to the collar so it gives it that little flare look. Because I love it when the jigs flare out, it gives it a little bit more action in the water, and it just looks overall really, really good. So I'm going to take and go ahead and get ready to finish this jig off here. And like I said before, with my finish off tie, I take and I pull it out, lay the backs of my fingers against the thread. Then I'm going to take and roll to make an X. Once it makes an X, this bottom line here that's moving up and down, you're going to lay that flat against the jig. And then you're going to take your top strand, which is this one here, and you're just going to keep wrapping it around. Just keep going. I do 5 to 6 wraparounds is my my rule of thumb when I'm finishing off a tie. I like to do 7 wraparounds, and then once I've done 7 wraparounds, I'll take and pull it, make sure it stays tight the whole time, and get you a little extra snug in there. And once you got it all pulled tight, you can come back and clip off the excess. And now that I've got the jig all done and finished, what I'm going to do now is trim the hairs. I did not show you that on the last video just for the fact that I didn't really have any nylon hairs on the last jig that I did. It was mainly just all flash boo. And now, so I'm going to take and show you how I trim my hairs. Place the hook facing into it. Then I take my hand and go over the top of the jig and pull all the hairs together. Once you pull all the hairs together like that, you know, this part right here is just all personal preference. So for me, I kind of eyeball it, look and see where I want to cut it, and then I just make my cut. I make one solid fluent cut. That way it's a very clean finish all the way through. And then, you know, there's that flare that I keep talking about that I love so much. I like for the jig to just poof out. But that is a finished product. I'm going to take and go ahead and put my clear gloss on it. And yeah, guys, do you have any questions, or you know, you would like to purchase some jigs? Just let me know. I'll leave a description in a link in the bottom down in the description how to get some of these jigs and how to contact me to get a hold of some of these jigs if you would like some. I ship anywhere in the US and around the world, so it does not matter. If you need help or you want to, you know, need a technique, let me know. But until next time, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, put a like in there down at the bottom. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Later.